So this is a question that requires you to use factor theorem. As the question states, f of x is equal to 200x cubed plus 100x squared minus 18x minus 9. Use factor theorem to show that 2x plus 1 is a factor of f of x. So to understand and answer this question, you need to know what factor theorem is. Now, I guess if you're watching this video, you either don't know it or you're revising what factor theorem is, and that's why you're watching this video. But basically, all you need to know for this part of factor theorem is that when you sub in a value, let's say a factor of this equation, then, for example, if we sub in f of a, then factor theorem logic states that if we state f of a, then f of a should equal to 0. And that means that if we sub in a value to this equation should equal 0. And if it equals 0, then we know that it's a factor. So basically, the question tells us to show that 2x plus 1 is a factor of f of x. So what we first have to do is that we first have to make that equal to 0. And I'm doing that right now. And if we do that, we get x is equal to -1/2. And basically, if we sub in -1/2 into this equation, the equation should equal 0 because the question is telling us to show that it's a factor. So since this has come from a calculator paper, I'm going to put the values in the calculator. But basically, what we're supposed to do is that we're supposed to show that we want to get marks in the question. So then we first type in or write in, because I'm doing it on the computer, but we first write in the values and sub it in like this, so we can show the examiner that we know what we're doing. And then we type it into the calculator, and then it should be 0. And I'm just going to do that right now. Okay. Okay, equals to 0. So we know that this equation is equal to 0, and that means that f of x is a factor. But to fully secure your mark and what I would do in the exam is that I would state that because, well, let me just type this because I can't write in this. So I'll say that because f of -1/2 if it is equal to 0, then therefore 200x cubed plus 100x squared minus 18x minus 9 is a factor of 2x plus 1. And basically, writing the statement shows that we write that statement just to show the examiner that we know what we're talking about. We want to get the full 2 marks from this question. And with these questions, there's usually a part B, and the part B requires you to solve this equation given or even if it's not given the factor of this equation. And there are multiple ways of doing this. Well, if you're doing GCSE further maths, the approach you'd normally be taught is to use algebraic long division, and that's like the most common method that most people use because it's like the most easiest way, I guess, you can use to factor this this cubic. And so how we do that is that we write the factor over here, and we write the function over here, 200x cubed plus 100x squared minus 18x.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What?
Meanwhile.
Okay, had to pause the video because I just realized that I wrote the wrong factor down, which is 2x minus 1, which is incorrect because the question says 2x plus 1. That's my bad. I apologize for that. Hopefully you guys don't do that in the exam. It's just good to reread over your working out because you can spot your mistakes. And yeah, so I accidentally wrote 2x minus 1 and I meant 2x plus 1. So, okay. If that explains why I got a weird this was pretty messed up over here and I was really confused why, but I just realized that I wrote the question wrong. Okay, so once we know that it's 2x plus 1, we just continue the same thing. So nothing really changed with this, but it's mostly the minus 100 bit that was incorrect. And so what we do is that we multiply 100x squared by 1, and once we do that, we get a positive 100x squared. And this is the bit that I got wrong because I copied the question incorrectly. And if you do that, you get 0. And this is right because we bring both of this down, negative 18x and negative 9, and then we get negative 18x minus 9 over here. And then just like we did with this number over here, we divide negative 18x by 2x, and if we do that, we get negative 9 because negative 18 over 2 is 9, and negative 18x divided by x cancels out the x, so we're just leaving it with negative 9. And we multiply 2x by negative 9, and that gives us negative 18x. And we do the same thing with the positive 1 and the negative 9. And if we multiply that together, we get negative 9. And if we subtract this negative 9, negative 9, take away negative 9, and that gives us negative 9 plus negative 9, which is, negative 9 plus 9, which is the same as 0, because if you add a number, let me just write this, negative 9 minus like this. So we know that this is going to make a positive, and negative 9 plus 9 equals 0. And the reason why I'm explaining this like as if obviously a lot of people like complain in the comments, but I'm explaining like this because I had like a couple of friends that were confused with that bit. So if you get that bit, if you're like confused with that bit, it's easy to lose marks. And this is 3 marks. So if you get in this wrong, then you're not gonna get like 2 marks. You're gonna get like 2 marks out of 3. And obviously it's a pretty simple question, so you want to get as much marks as possible. Anyways, now we found the value. Now we divided it. We got the rest of the quadratic, the cubic, sorry, 100x squared minus 9, which we can factorize. Because we know that we can rewrite this as 100x squared plus 0x minus 9. And then what would we do is that we would just factor it like a harder quadratic like we did in GCSE. So we would find the factors of 900, and obviously that would be 30 and 30. So then we can say 100x squared plus 30, negative 30, negative 9. And then we can find the factors of 100 and 30, so we can factorize it. Sorry, I meant 30x, my bad. And then we can do, I think, 5 goes into it. Sorry, 10. 10x and 10x plus 3. I'm assuming you guys know this because this is already covered in GCSE. Minus 10 lots of 10x plus, sorry, minus 3. Don't know where I got 10 from. And 10x minus 3, 10x plus 3. And it's the difference of, and it's clearly the difference of two squares. We can solve it, so we can say that 10x equals 3, and 10x equals negative 3, and x equals negative 3 over 10, and x equals 3/10. And we can, for the first one, we can say that x equals 3/10, x equals 3/10, x equals negative 3/10, and we can say that x equals negative a half, because they gave us already the factor in the first question. And then that's it. So that's how you use factor theorem for both steps, how you make it equal to 0. Thank you for watching this video if you have, and make sure to subscribe because I want to cover the whole of the further math syllabus. And goodbye.